So the first thing that we're going to want to do is practice moving around the SketchUp model. So you can see half of Hawthorne's playground modeled right here, but everything's really small. So the way that you can zoom in on things is to hover your mouse over the thing that you want to zoom in on, and then use your middle scroll wheel and just practice scrolling back and forth. And that will get you zoomed in onto the things that you want to zoom in on. So if I put my mouse over here, I'll zoom in on that basketball hoop. And if I put my mouse over here, I'll zoom in on these kids hanging out right there. The next navigation tool that you'll want to practice is being able to rotate around the model. So right now we can see a little bit of this outdoor classroom roof, but we can't really see the backside. So the way that you rotate around the model is to click and hold your scroll wheel till you see a green and red arrow, and then move your mouse while you're holding. And that will let you rotate around. So now we can see all sides of our little outdoor classroom out here. And then the third way that you can move around your model is to move up and down and left and right. And the way that you do that is you hold Shift on your keyboard and you click and hold the scroll wheel again till you see a little hand show up, and that will let you move side to side and up and down. So those three different navigation tools were the zoom with your scroll wheel, clicking and holding the scroll wheel to rotate around the model, and holding Shift on the keyboard and clicking and holding your scroll wheel so that you can move up and down and left and right. Okay, so now that we know how to move around the model, let's practice building some things. So if you zoom in on your outdoor classroom platform right here, we can start to learn some tools that will help you build your designs. If you look over here, you'll see a little tool that looks like a rectangle with a diagonal through it. If you click that once, you get some more options, and these are different shapes that you can draw in SketchUp. So we'll start with this top one, which is the rectangle shape. After you click that, you can click once to start your rectangle and click again to end your rectangle. And now you'll see that you have a flat shape on your outdoor classroom platform. And we can try that again with a different shape. So if you go back over to the rectangle, click it once, you'll get these different options, and we can do it with a circle as well. So we can click for the center of the circle, drag our mouse out, and click again to end our circle. We could try again with the polygon tool as well. Same thing like the circle, click for the middle, and then click again for the outside. So if we rotate around, we'll notice that we have our shapes, but they're flat. And so if we want to make those into volumes, the way that we do that is this tool right underneath the shape tool, which is called the push-pull tool. So if you click the push-pull tool, you'll get three options, and you'll want to do this top one right here, which is the push-pull tool. And if you hover over your rectangle, you zoom in, you can tell that once you're hovering over it, it changes color. So it's highlighted in blue. Click it once, and if you push your mouse up and click again. Now you have a volume. And you can do that again on any side of your rectangle. So you can make it a little bit taller. You could click this side and drag your mouse out and make it a little bit wider. You can make it a little bit skinnier. So you can push and pull the sides of your box until you get it to the size that you want. Same thing works with your other shapes. So if I go over to my circle, when I hover over it, it goes from that gray color to the blue. Click once, I drag my mouse up to the height that I want it to be, and I click again, and now I have a cylinder. And I can do that with this polygon tool, this polygon shape too. Click once, drag it up, click again. So if I zoom out, I now have 3 different shapes. What you're going to want to do after you make each of your shapes is to go over to this arrow tool and click on it, and you're going to want to make sure that each shape is grouped together so that it's not just a bunch of different sides, but it's a whole shape all stuck together. And the way that you do that is to go over to your shape and you're going to click it 3 times. So 3 clicks quickly, and you'll notice that the whole box is highlighted. And so you're going to want to see all of the blue lines highlighting all sides of your shape. Once you see it all selected, you'll right click, scroll down, and say make a group. So now I have my shape all stuck together. It's not just a bunch of sides anymore, it's all one shape. And I'll do the same thing for each of these other volumes as well. So I'll triple click, right click, and I'll make it a group. And I'll go over to my polygon, I'll triple click, I'll right click, and I'll make it a group. And the nice thing about that is now that these shapes are their own things, we can move them around with this tool right over here, which is the Move tool. So if I click on my Move tool, again I get some more options, but I'm going to do this top one that's the 4 arrows that says Move, and I click it. I can click where I want to move my polygon from, and then I can move it over here, and I can click again, and now it's over there. Go back to my arrow and I select my box. I go to my Move tool and I click it once. I can move it around and then I can set it back down. Same thing with my cylinder. I go to my arrow, I select it, 1 click, go to the Move tool, click it once, move it around, and I decide I want to put it over here. Okay, so now that we've made 3 shapes, you're probably wondering, how can you make a more interesting shape? Well, if you go to this pencil tool and click on it, you get 2 options. One is the pencil tool that lets you draw straight lines to make your own shape. And the other is the squiggly tool, which lets you draw a freehand shape. So let's try the pencil tool first. So if you click, you can make your own shape with a bunch of straight lines, and you're going to want to make sure that you connect it so that it's closed. And you'll see that now I have my own flat shape there, and I can do the same thing with my push-pull tool, and I can click on it and I can drag it up to make it a volume. And now I remember I just made my volume, so the thing I need to do next is to make it a group. So if I go to my arrow tool, I will click 3 times quickly till I see everything highlighted in blue, right click, scroll down, and make it a group. Let's try another shape with the squiggly line tool. So if I use my squiggly line tool, I'm going to click and I'm going to hold my click the whole time, and I can make an interesting shape like that. And I can also go back to my push-pull tool, and now that's its own shape as well. And so before I forget, I'll go to my arrow, triple click quickly, right click, and I'll make it a group. Okay. So now we've got the hang of making our own shapes and modeling our own designs. Let's all model a bench and a table together. So I'm going to highlight these shapes and I'm going to right click and erase so that we have some space to practice making a bench and a table. So the first tool I'm going to use to do that is I'm going to go back over here to where my shapes are, and I'm going to go to my rectangle tool. I'm going to draw a rectangle like this. Now I'm going to use my push-pull tool, and I'm going to click it once, and I'm going to drag it up. And so I have a box that looks like someone could sit there, but what about somewhere for them to rest their back? So let's practice making the back side of a bench. And the way you would do that is go back over to your line tool, find the pencil, and click on it. And let's make a line from one side of our box all the way to the other side. Now once I have that line, I can go to my push-pull tool, and I can push this side down, and I can push this side up. So if I rotate around, now I have a little bit more of a bench shape. Another thing I can do is I can make a line here with the same pencil tool from this side to this side and use my push-pull tool to make some space for someone to put their legs back. And I can do the same thing on the top as well if I want to. I'll go to my line, my pencil, I'll make a line from here up to there, and I'll use my push-pull tool to push this side back. And so there we have a bench in our outdoor classroom. And we can do the same set of tools to make ourselves a table. But the first thing that we need to remember to do, since we've just made a new shape, is to go to our arrow, triple click, right click, and make it a group. So that way, if I decide that I want to move my bench to a different spot, I can do that because all the sides of the bench are now stuck together in a group. Okay, so now that we have our bench, let's make it a table. We'll use our rectangle tool again, right over here. We'll draw our rectangle. We'll get our push-pull tool. We'll click once. We'll raise up our box. And then similarly to how we made lines to push-pull our bench into a shape that we wanted, we'll do the same thing with our table. So we'll get our pencil tool, and this time I'm going to draw what looks like the outline of a table on the side of our box, so that when I go back to my push-pull tool, I can push just the inside of the table all the way through to the other side. So if we rotate around, there you'll see I've got a table with 2 legs. And so we'll remember to use our arrow, triple click, right click, and make it a group. So all the pieces of our table are now stuck together in one group, and if we wanted to move our table and our bench around, we could do that with our move tool. So those are some tools that you can use, and we can talk about a lot more tools that are around this toolbar to help make any of the ideas that you have for the outdoor classroom come to life inside of the SketchUp model.